Do we have food shortages out there? The answer is simple. If you see food rationing, you have food shortages. You don't ration something that there's not a shortage of. That's just simple facts. But also, if you ration things, that doesn't solve shortages. In fact, it tends to make shortages worse. Not only that item that you're rationing, but it's going to spread into shortages of all items that are nearby as well. Folks, let's talk about rationing, because I promise you, I've said this before, when you have inflation, soon you'll have price caps. When you have inflation, inevitably governments want to do something about it, so they start bringing in price caps. Once you have price caps, you then move on to rationing. Once you move into rationing, then you see the government starts picking winners and losers. Who gets those rations becomes a thing. And that's a situation that has happened hundreds of times before, if not thousands of examples out there throughout history. This has been happening for thousands and thousands of years. Anytime there is food shortages, this is what happens. You get price caps, and then you get rationing, and then you get government choosing winners and losers, who gets the rationing. And I promise you, if you're not a friend of an elected official that has a lot of power, you are not going to be the ones selected for getting the extra rations. Let's walk through this process, shall we? Rationing doesn't solve shortages. You get a price lock, which seems to help things along. You know, that's just not fair. These producers are gouging the customer. They're making a whole lot of money off of producing, let's use eggs, because that just is a situation that's happened just recently. That's not fair that they're making so much more on eggs than what they normally do. But realize this, when somebody is making a whole lot of money making something, there's a whole lot of incentive for other people to get into that business really fast and start making that money as well. Companies that are in the business making lots and lots of money, they have a lot of incentives to expand their operations, right? They're going to find ways to expand their operation because this money is good and they want more of it. Now, when you put price caps in, suddenly they're just making their normal amount of money. Are they going to suddenly start expanding their business when they're making the normal amount of money? The answer is no. No, they won't. Will new people come into the business and start new operations to increase production? No, because they weren't interested in producing eggs before, and you know, they looked at the metrics and how much money they'd make, and they'd be barely scraping a living. So no, they're not interested in that at all. Unless the price goes up significantly, they're not going to get into the business. So when you start price capping things and then by necessity rationing things, you're actually creating a situation where the shortage actually lasts longer. This is basic economics, folks. I know that there's a lot of well-meaning, well-intentioned, bleeding heart people who all about socialism and price caps and rationing and everything like that. But here's the simple fact. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Anywhere there has been socialism, if it's lasted any time at all, you will see an underlying capitalistic system that is supporting that system, whether they're stealing money from other countries or whether they are getting lots and lots of money sent back to them from people who live in other countries, or like you see with the Soviet Union, they had a massive black market capitalistic system that was more free than a lot of the economy in the United States is. You also see this in Cuba. You have a black market system that is basically the only thing propping up that's the only way that people can survive under it. Rationing, when I see signs that say limit to, when I see limit this, I can't help but see this is rationing. And if there's rationing taking place, hear me out, that kind of points to the fact that there's some kind of price control happening here. Now, Sometimes, I know this is going to blow some of your minds, sometimes the supermarkets sell things at a loss. Sometimes they sell things at break even, sometimes they sell things at a loss. And when I say break even, I mean they're not counting overhead, they're not counting labor. They're buying it for X and they're selling it for X. They're just trying to make the customers happy and come to their store so that they'll buy all the other stuff that's going to pay the wages for the people checking you out or the robots checking you out or whatever. Sometimes the stores actually take a loss on things if they know there's a big pain point thing like people are really upset about the price of eggs. They may sell the eggs at a loss in order to get you into their store so you'll buy everything else. That's the thing you're paying attention to the price on. That's the thing that if you see low prices there, you're going to assume the rest of the store is low prices and you're going to buy all sorts of stuff. So just because we see this limit number there, it tells me that the store is afraid of you buying too much. Now, if they're making money off of every unit of whatever they're selling, why in the world would they have a problem with you buying more? I mean, isn't that the whole point of capitalism? You want to buy 1,600? Not only am I going to say yes to you and figure out a way to get you 1,600 units of whatever, I'm going to take you into the back room and I'm going to make you a better deal, right? I charge everyone else this, but because you're buying 1,600, I'm going to give you a better deal here. When I start saying, no, you have a limit of 2, I'm telling you that I'm not selling this product for income. I'm not selling this product to make money. And if I'm not passing gains off to the next person in the system, you may see that that item stays in perpetual shortage for a long period of time. It locks, price caps lock in the price. And that's good. It seems like at first, but the incentive doesn't exist to increase production. Second thing with that, there are always cheaters. There's always somebody who either doesn't have a job or just has too much time on their hands or just they like eggs or something like that. Limit 2, okay, fine. They go out to their car with two cartons. They come right back into the store. They buy 2 more and they go out to the car. Or they have kids and they give each kid 2 boxes of eggs and walk out the door. A limit only impacts the people that actually follow the limit. And I know at first you're going to say, well, you know, if there's actual rationing, that's just a soft ration. If there's stronger rationing happening, then there's less ways of cheating. And that's true. It gets harder to cheat, but the stakes are higher. The stakes are higher because you're seeing the eggs for sale in the store for like $3. It's a hypothetical, $3 a dozen, but on the black market, the cheapest you can get eggs for is $5 a dozen. So people are incentivized to buy eggs at the store, sell them on the black market. And that's exactly what happens. So some people are going to figure out a way to game the system and buy a ton of eggs, whether direct from the farmers or whatever, and sell them directly on the black market, which, once again, increases the shortage. And this is where you see with all these countries where, in the Soviet Union, you go into the grocery store and the shelves were empty. And you're like, how do these people eat? How do these people survive? Well, you're looking at the store shelves with the price fixing happening. Of course you can't buy things there because it's ridiculously cheap. You have to go out to the black market where there's plenty of food and you're going to pay a much higher price because that's the actual price going out there. And believe me, capitalism always wins over socialism. It's just, I don't care how many guns or people, enforcers you have out there, in the end, rationing fails. It scares people. When you start rationing things, people start realizing there's a shortage. And when people start realizing there's a shortage, what do? They start stocking up, which is a good thing. People looking forward are going to go, gee, I need to get my act together. I need to start stocking up. But what does that do? It creates shortages in all the items around that item that you have the limits on. It scares people, and the rationing will inevitably spread because the shortages spread from one thing to the next. So friends, when you see that limit 2 sign on there, I hope that you're thinking down the line 1 or 2 steps and going, that's not harmless. That's telling me there's a problem. They might as well put a big sign up on the thing saying, there's a shortage of this product. There's a shortage of this product. And you'll notice when they have a limit 2 there, you can notice how it gets worse because limit 2 goes on to all the items around it that are similar to it, and that happens relatively fast. When you see those signs start to spread, the shortage is spreading. When you see those signs start disappearing, things are getting better. This is one way that you can track kind of just keeping your eyes on things. That's why I'm very sensitive to seeing that. I got a few bellwethers out there. I always check the ramen noodles to see if the normies are starting to panic, because that's the first thing they go out and buy when they're panicking. If a storm's coming in, they're going to start grabbing ramen noodles for whatever reason. They don't grab ramen noodles usually, but when they feel panicky, they start grabbing them. So I keep an eye on that. I keep an eye on the rationing signs. And I keep an eye on things that are very short term and then things that are very long term. When you look at the canned goods section, they don't need to restock that quite as rapidly because it sits there and that stuff's fine sitting on the shelf for a long time. Normally that doesn't get depleted. It doesn't have a high turnover rate. Whereas things like butter, milk, cheese, these things have to be turned over rather rapidly, particularly the cream, the eggs. These things get restocked daily. Lunch meats and like the lunch meat section, all those things need to be restocked within a matter of days. And so you can see where the acute shortages are, the short-term shortages. And then when you look at the canned goods section, you can see if there are bigger, more persistent shortages over there. Just keep that. You can get a lot of information from looking at your grocery store, folks. You can get a lot of information from looking at several different grocery stores and by looking at different days of the week. All right, folks, that's kind of what we do here on this channel a little bit, but I appreciate you guys reporting in, letting me know what you guys are seeing. You can always report what you're seeing, empty shelves on your store shelves, by saying the word update somewhere in your comment on any video, and we'll see that. Give some sort of geographical location, of course, so we can kind of clue in on where you are a little bit. And thanks so much for watching. If you want to check out another video, you can see that right over here. I'll see you there, or I'll see you later. Steve Poplar out.